眼下南疆势力混杂，你们焉知下一刻我不会反？
哪儿冒出来的门？
路线原本就是一个陷阱，
凭我们几个五妖境的怎么打？
我是领队，我来负全责。启程！
我看你分明是怕死。
云渊出雨，怎会和他有关系？
本军到底埋下了多少势力？
就是代传说中的魔神竟然现世了。倘若他们成功，必
Hello guys, how's everyone doing? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're checking out the Tales of Herding Gods episode 61 spoiler. This part gets pretty interesting, so I thought, why not share it with you guys? Alright then, let's jump straight into the story. The cloud-chasing pirate ship had been flying for more than a day before it finally drifted into view of the surging river. And man, the moment we got close, the atmosphere just changed. The ship eased up toward the southern camp, and right away, you could tell this place had seen hell. Liju Prefecture had basically stacked an entire army along the riverbank. I'm talking hundreds of connected camps, soldiers everywhere, horses stomping the mud, just a whole war machine built across the shoreline. And then, bodies, just floating on the surface. Soldiers were tossing nets over the sides of the boats, dragging the corpses in. Some didn't even bother with the nets, just hooked them and hung them at the back of the ship, planning to bury them once they made it to shore. Honestly, that sight hits you in a way no story can prepare you for. Qingmu narrowed his eyes and activated his green heaven's eyes, looking across the river. On the opposite bank stood a ruined city, barely holding together. And even now, tiny flashes of powers, sparks of divine arts, still flickering in the streets. Skirmishes, I thought. Just the Eternal Peace Army finishing off whatever enemies were left hiding in the rubble. Fan Yanxiao slowed the pirate ship as we approached. A soldier flew up, literally flew, to check who we were. And the moment he heard Imperial College scholars, he signaled the archers below to lower their bows. Yeah, that was a relief. The ship finally touched down, and Fan Yanxiao gave one last glance toward the battle-torn city with his mismatched black and white eyes. Then he looked at the scholars with this tired sort of disappointment. Old brother Qing, he sighed, these scholars are just going to drag you down. In a war this big, they won't survive. Honestly, they can't help at all. I'm out. When I find enough black iron and the treasure ship blueprint, I'll come back for you. And just like that, he fired up the furnace and took off with his bandits. Yun Kuei and the others looked crushed, while Chen Wenyan scoffed. He's talented, sure, but he sure can't judge character. A general strode up to us. Are you the Imperial College scholars? Qingmu nodded. Is the young magistrate of Liju Prefecture at the front lines? Please inform her that Qingmu from Riverdike County requests an audience. The general froze for a second, clearly surprised, and ran off without another word. A moment later, we heard the clinking of armor. Everyone turned, and honestly, she looked like she'd walked straight out of a painting and a battlefield at the same time. A female general, helmet under her arm, armor stained with fresh blood, face still carrying powder, sharp brows, red lips, just striking. This was Yuyin Chuyu. So, it's little brother Qingmu, she said, smiling as her eyes lit up. The boy who left Riverdike County a few months ago, already making a name for himself. My brother told me about you. I'm glad you've risen so fast. Qingmu actually blushed. Big sister, I never told you I'm from Great Ruins. She laughed softly. When you left, I kept wondering which Qing family and Riverdike had raised someone like you. Only after my brother wrote to me did I learn you were from Great Ruins. Meanwhile, the scholars behind us were just stunned. Liju Prefecture's young magistrate, basically a border commander and a princess of the former Union Empire, knew Qingmu personally. And not just knew him, spoke to him like a long-lost sibling. How on earth did an abandoned kid from Great Ruins end up connected to someone like her? Qingmu finally asked, Big Sister Chuyu, what happened to the corpse in Soul Cult? Already wiped out by me, but some remnants escaped to the southern borders. She led us to the walls, her expression sharpening. All the rebel armies from every direction are gathering down south. Cults, sects, rogue forces, everyone's mixing here. We've stationed troops in every river city, But honestly, this is just the beginning. The situation is much worse than it looks. Just the tip of the iceberg? We all echoed quietly. She gave a small, almost teasing smile. In times like these, how do you even tell who's loyal and who's a traitor? Take me, for example. I'm a princess of a fallen empire. How would you know I won't rebel the very next moment? That sent a chill through everyone. Chen Wenyan and the others instantly broke into a cold sweat, terrified that this heroic, beautiful general might just draw her sword and announce her rebellion right then and there.
Yu Yuan Chuyu spoke so casually, like she was discussing the weather, but her words were sharp. The imperial court is too tangled up with the old generation, she said. Imperial preceptor wants a brand new era, but the only tools he has are the old ones. And when your new generation is raised by the old, how can you be sure which sect or which official is gonna rebel next? And honestly, that's a terrifying thought. Monkey and Quez's voice cracked before he even finished his question. But Lord Magistrate, you won't rebel, right? Chuyu turned her head, gave him this slow, icy smile that honestly chilled me a little. You can make a guess. If you're right, you won't die. Yeah, Yunque's face immediately lost all its color. The guy looked like he was about to faint. Chuyu might have been a woman, but the aura around her, it was heavy, like she'd survived enough wars to crush someone just by looking at them the wrong way. Then suddenly, she chuckled. Light, like she hadn't just threatened someone, and called over a general. She murmured a few orders, and moments later, an entire battalion, around 10,000 soldiers, was mobilizing. And then she just walked down the city hall steps, straight onto the river, not over it, on it. 1,000 soldiers followed right behind her, marching across the water as if the river were solid stone. Qinmu hurried after her, stepping onto the surface with a burst of vital qi lifting him up. He shot her a grin. Big sister, don't scare him too much. Qin Wenyun and the others rushed to keep up, but you could tell they were struggling. Sprinting on water is one thing, but walking calmly? That takes control. Chuyu glanced at Qinmu with mild amusement. So, little brother, you think I won't rebel? Qinmu shook his head. Because this rebellion, it's part of Imperial Preceptor's plan. A purge, a cleanup. Big sister sees that clearly. If you were someone easily fooled, you would have rebelled long before today. She let out a small laugh. Right and wrong. I didn't stay loyal because I'm clever. Plenty of people came urging me to rise up. They were so confident, too. But they all misunderstood something. Her eyes softened. Not colder, but deeper. My Yuyuan family never cared about thrones. We cared about our people. And then she told the story. Clear, calm, like she'd repeated it 100 times, but still carried the weight of every word. Back when Yuyuan Empire still existed, eternal peace was already strong enough to wipe them out. Her father knew a war would destroy everything, but instead of fighting, Imperial Preceptor came personally to Yuyuan and debated with her father in front of all officials how to rule a nation, how to care for its people. And we lost, she said simply. Not a battle, a debate. And they accepted the loss. Her father stepped down, her brother refused the throne, and she, Chuyu, ended up the emperor for all of one day, long enough to hand the empire over. I told Imperial Preceptor, I'm not as good at you, at ruling or caring for the people, so take the empire. But if you ever fail them, I will rebel. He agreed, and that's how Li Zhou was placed in my hands. Everyone finally understood, and Huling actually gasped. So you were a female emperor? Chuyu laughed for a day, and trust me, it's not fun. Anyone can call themselves an emperor. The question is, who actually follows you? Her attention drifted to the drifting smoke on the river before turning back to the group. You're lucky to follow this little brother. His abilities are extraordinary. Yu Tengheng and Yun Kui exchanged confused looks. Qinmu? Extraordinary? They clearly had no idea what she'd seen. She remembered the mountain north of Tiger Sun County. Red corpse beetles everywhere, a skeleton melted down to nothing, and clothing that marked the victim as a high-level corpse insult cult expert. Someone at least 7 stars round and completely wiped out by poison. And the only person who could have done that? This innocent-looking boy walking beside her. Back then, he'd even tricked her into writing him a travel permit. In her mind, anyone who followed Qinmu was safer than anyone following an official instructor. That was why she called them fortunate. By the time they reached the opposite shore, the city there was in ruins. Buildings flattened, lives lost,
far too many. Chu Yu led her troops in and gestured around. I told you this was just the tip of the iceberg. There's another reason. Look at this. Taking Deer County was too easy. Suspiciously easy. Doesn't that make the rebel army seem a little weak? Qinmu frowned. So they're luring us in? Not just that. The real old foxes haven't even shown up. Her eyes sharpened. The 3 old monsters who injured Imperial Preceptor, they're still missing. And they're not the only ones. Passion Departing Place Master QDA, the 3 lords of 3 Wonders Castle, high officials who defected, Dragon King of Ragan Rider sect, and other cult master level monsters. None of them have appeared. Not one. She lowered her voice, and the shift in her tone instantly changed the entire mood. Who knows? Yu Yuan Chu Yu murmured. If any gods from the old generation survived. And wow, that sent a chill straight down my spine. Even Qinmu shuddered. And the others? Yeah, you could practically see their blood run cold. Chu Yu clearly knew way more than she was willing to say, but she didn't push further. Relax, she continued. Those old monsters don't bother picking on the younger ones. Their targets are Imperial Preceptor and the top officials. Deer County, that was taken by a small sect, 9 Spectres sect. Now that we've crushed their rebellion, some of them slipped away. I'll give you an easy assignment. Wipe out the remaining members. She said it so casually, like she was handing out errands instead of a hunt for rogue cultists. Her eyes gleamed a little as she glanced at Qinmu and the rest. 9 Spectres sect loves pretending to be gods and devils. They claim they can summon supernatural beings to fight for them. So, prepare yourselves. When the other scholars arrive, you'll go in first. Pretending to be gods and devils? Summoning supernatural beings? Yeah, Qinmu froze for a moment, because that rang a bell. His thoughts immediately jumped back to the first floor of the Floor of Heavenly Records. Soul Guide and Ghost Transferring God Dispatching Runes command. 2 strange spells tied to souls, spirits, and supernatural beings. Both tucked away because nobody really practiced them. Ghost Transferring God Dispatching Runes came from Great Mountain sect. Soul Guide was straight from 9 Spectres sect. Back when he found them, Qinmu assumed they were powerful because the runes were crazy complicated. But the moment he tried ghost transferring, yeah, not so impressive. Kind of like 5 ghost transfer technique, just 10 times more annoying. He even asked Chancellor Bashan for help once, but Bashan took one look at the spells and basically went, "Nope, not studying this, you figure it out," and tossed him back. Ghost transferring God dispatching was especially wild. The spell required a talisman treasure with 1,024 tiny rune-covered faces, each etched with insanely intricate symbols. Meanwhile, the talisman treasure Qinmu saw in Roland's Golden Palace had only 14 sides. 14 versus 1,024. Yeah, huge difference. So naturally, Qinmu thought, whoa, this is gonna be powerful. Except, nope. Its actual effect barely matched 5 ghost transfer technique. Something wasn't right, and that's when it clicked for him. These sects intentionally sabotaged their own spells before handing them over to the Imperial Court. A few runes altered here, a few scrambled there, boom. The whole thing becomes weak or completely useless. Still, even with a dozen mistakes, ghost transferring God dispatching had over 1,000 correct runes, which meant one thing. It was a treasure trove, a blueprint, a foundation. So Qinmu did what Qinmu does best. He started digging. He bought joss paper, cinnabar, spent 2 days building the massive talisman treasure, and another full day writing down every rune from Soul Guide. Then he compared them side by side. Slowly, the pattern emerged. The similarities, the mismatched runes, the intentional errors, and finally, he understood. Both spells were incomplete. Both had hidden mistakes. But now, with one spell as the key and the other as the map, Qinmu could fix Soul Guide. And that, honestly, was huge. There were more than 600 different rune patterns inside Soul Guide, and Qinmu had gone through every single one, fixing the mistakes one by one. Finally, he looked at the talisman and felt that click, That certainty, no more errors. And the moment he realized that, he immediately waved a soldier over. Hey, you guys have any corpses left in the city? I need to test something. The soldier blinked. Lord wants the corpses of 9 Spectres sect? We, already buried them. If you need them dug up. Chinmu's expression dropped instantly. Where? He asked, voice tight. We buried some in the disorderly mounds near River Dike County and the rest on Deer Mountain. We just buried them wherever was closest. And right then, Chinmu's heartbeat slammed in his chest. Where's the young magistrate? Go. Tell the whole army needs to go on alert. Now. Then send soldiers to both burial sites and burn the corpses. Immediately. The poor soldier had no idea what this was about, but he ran anyway. Young magistrate went across the river to calm the people. I'll go inform her right now. Chinmu cursed under his breath. Big sister Chuyu is at River Dike County. That's bad. Really bad. He grabbed another soldier, warned the guards, highest alert, go. Then, he sprinted off to find Chen Wanyan, Yue Qinghong, and the others. Listen, 9 Spectres sect might be coming back. Be ready. Everyone stared at him like he'd just told them the sky was falling. Yuan Kuei finally blurted out, but they're almost all dead. Only a few escaped. Why would we guard against a handful of people? They're faking their deaths. And just as those words left his mouth, a faint singing drifted across the river. Soft, old, eerie, the kind of sound that instantly makes your skin crawl. It felt like something ancient was calling out from the other side of existence, a god of the Netherworld opening a door, calling souls home. Chinmu's face went pale. In the next heartbeat, he was already in motion, racing through the air, landing on the north gate of the city tower. Hardly anyone was there. Most soldiers were still recovering from the last battle, unaware that something far worse was about to start. He looked over the river, and there, standing on the mast of a ship like some nightmare priest, was a Taoist in a straw hat. He was chanting, casting, and a massive glowing rune spiraled above him, green light twisting through the air like writhing snakes. The others rushed up beside him. Chen Wanyan started to speak. What has happened? But then he saw it too. Black fog began to surge across the water, thick, heavy, rolling like a living storm. And inside that darkness, a massive gate, a towering ancient gate floating above the river. Oh man, the whole sky dimmed in seconds. Chinmu looked toward the opposite shore. Scholarships were approaching, completely unaware. And then the fog swallowed them. Their shouts echoed through the darkness. Panicked, startled, definitely not normal. He turned again toward Deer Mountain, and that's when the ground itself seemed to break open. Figures, small, fast, monstrous, launched into the sky, throwing yellow talismans as they flew. The Westgate guards didn't even react in time before they were frozen in place and cut down. The corpses surged into Deer County, ripping through the unprepared guards. Corpses. Truly corpses, but moving like living warriors. Chinmu's heart clenched. The Taoist was using Soul Guide. Every dead member of 9 Spectres sect was being summoned back. Souls dragged from the Netherworld, forced into their rotting bodies. Some bodies had only scraps of skin connecting their heads. Some had holes through their chests. Some were missing limbs altogether, but their eyes burned with life they shouldn't have. Their strength still completely intact. Even Chen Wanyan, usually steady as stone, stood frozen. He had no idea what to do. Chinmu looked across the river. The black fog had completely swallowed River Dike County. Only muffled explosions of divine arts came through. "Abandon the city!" Chinmu shouted. "Head towards the east gate!" The others snapped back to reality. Chinmu sprinted along the city wall, yelling for the dragon Keelan and Hoolinger to return. Below them, Deer County had already fallen into chaos. People running, screaming, caught completely off guard as the resurrected corpses tore through everything. This wasn't a battle. It was an ambush from the dead.
The Eternal Peace Army was famous for one thing: teamwork that could kill above their level. When 10 soldiers trained the exact same spell or sword form and moved as one, yeah, even someone a whole realm stronger could fall to them.
On big battlefields, that kind of coordinated attack was devastating, smashing through sects like they were made of rotten wood. But today, in Deer County, that strength became their weakness. 9 Spectre sect hadn't charged in alive. They'd sent corpses, souls dragged back from the Netherworld, ripping through the streets before any formation could even start. The soldiers were scattered, fighting alone, and alone they were no match for sect disciples. It turned into a massacre almost immediately, and the sky just kept getting darker. For the revived disciples of 9 Spectre sect, that darkness was like daylight. They saw everything. They feared nothing. They didn't even feel pain. They didn't defend. They just threw themselves at anyone breathing. And the worst part? Some of those corpses were once celestial being realm and life and death realm experts. Not fully revived, no, just temporarily forced back into their broken bodies. But even a temporary revival was enough to wipe out the entire Deer County defense. Chinmu could only whisper what everyone already sensed. The guards, they're finished. Then he saw Hulinger and the dragon Killin rushing toward them, and finally exhaled. Good, at least they made it. Everyone vaulted off the east gate, sprinting into the darkness. Behind them, boom! The east gate exploded, shattered by revived celestial being realm practitioners. Chinmu glanced back just in time to see an eternal peace general, strong, proud, torn apart by the undead. And then, floating above the battlefield, he spotted them. Taoists, using yellow talismans, walking through the air. Chinmu's stomach dropped. Corpse Immortal Cult. 9 Spectres controlled souls. Corpse Immortal Cult controlled bodies. Together, this city didn't stand a chance. Academician Chen Wanyun shouted, "We should cross the river, head back to River Dike County." But Chinmu shook his head instantly. "No, there are corpses in the river too. We'll walk right into another attack." And right on cue, they heard it. Splashing, footsteps. From the black fog at the riverbank, drenched corpses crawled out, water streaming off them. And the moment they spotted the group, they sprinted straight toward them. Chinmu didn't flinch. "We head south, find a path back later, just move." He tapped his waist and a sword light burst from Taoti's sack like a streak of lightning. Wave sword form. The blade whirled, slicing clean through several corpses' necks. Except, yeah, they didn't stop. The bodies just bent down, picked up their own heads, tucked them under their arms, and kept charging. One severed head even shrieked, "Come quickly, some slipped through the net, this way." Yun Kuei, Yue Qinghong, and even Chen Wanyun, people who'd seen some dark stuff, were horrified, truly horrified. But Si Yun Xiong, the shy one, completely calm, not even flinching. Chinmu thrust out his hand, fingers spread, and squeezed. The sword light twisted into spiral sword form, spinning like a drill and shredding the undead into pieces. "Move," Chinmu barked, "before stronger ones catch up." They sprinted deeper into the darkness, the burning ruins of Deer County behind them. Yun Kuei looked back at the flames licking the sky, voice shaking. To the southern borders, that's the enemy's nest. So guys, that was the episode 61 spoiler. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit the like button and tell me in the comments which episode you want next. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.